Isidore tells, Grandpa Velvel took him into the bathhouse in honor of the Sabbath. And it turned out to be quite an ordeal as Velvel rubbed and scrubbed Isidore till he was raw. It was anything but funny, but of course Isidore did not dare complain. And then there were the times on cold, wintry Russian nights that Grandpa Velvel warmed young Isidore's bed. He took me in his arms, said Isidore, with my back turned and held me close to him and warmed my icy feet. The most impressive thing about Velvel, perhaps, was his midnight prayer called Hitzos. He was a pious Jew. Religion to him was a daily task he performed just like the rest of the Jews in town. Hitzos is about the lost temple in Jerusalem and about Rachel crying for her children dispersed all over the world. Grandpa Velvel prayed in a tragic voice. He cried bitterly, trying to stifle his voice in order not to wake anybody up. Of course, at times, recalls Isidore, I did wake up in the middle of the night and listen to him. I was sure that his prayers were penetrating the heavens, and his pleas were reaching directly to God. Velvel Galitsky lived a long and full life, reaching into the decade of the 1920s. Isidore recalls Velvel's last day on this earth.
Grandpa suffered from arthritis, rheumatism, they called it there. He bitterly complained about his arms. I could still see him down and stretched out to God, laying on his back, where he let out his last breath. He died almost in my arms, while I, his grandson, out of 11 children, watched. He must have been close to 90 years old.
That was the beginning, not the end. For Velvel Galitsky sired a large family whose descendants today reach all over the world. Velvel married twice and had 11 children. Between 1855 and 1870, he and his first wife, Sitsi, had 3 sons and 1 daughter. Shmuel married Goldie. He died in Russia. Goldie later immigrated to the U.S. They had 4 sons and 2 daughters. Daughter Cyrilia married Herschel Gittelmacher. They resided in Russia and had 2 sons and 2 daughters. Herschel and wife Merle lived in the United States with their 1 son and daughter. Moses married Merle, his first wife, who died in Russia, and they had 4 children. Moses immigrated to the United States and married his second wife, and they had 1 son. Velvel and his second wife Sarah had 3 sons and 3 daughters, plus 1 child who died in infancy. This period ranged from the 1870s to after the turn of the century, well into the time of Tsarist Russia, well into the time of the pogroms and continued persecution of Jews. Chronologically, Velvel's second set of children were as follows, as the Galitsky family tree continues to grow. Pearl married Burl Haratansky, and in 1907 they immigrated to Argentina. They had 5 children, 2 sons and 3 daughters. Daughter Bela married Solomon Bressler and immigrated to Argentina around 1910. They raised 2 sons. Beryl married Mincy. They trekked to Argentina as well, and they had 1 son and daughter. Son Boris married Esther Kogan. They lived in the United States and had 7 children, 3 sons and 4 daughters. And last there was Rivka, who married Sani. They had 2 children in Russia. So at this point, you've been reacquainted with the founding father, Velvel, and his 10 children. The branches of the Galitsky family tree grew and became heavy with the fruit of many more children, grandchildren, and great-great-grandchildren, and so forth. Little did our diminutive but rugged forefather realize how large and widespread his prodigy would become. Now let us take a closer and more detailed account of the Galitsky family tree as we meet some of the descendants, not only in name, but in picture as well. In some cases, our family tree is not totally complete. Names of spouses may not be known. Some sons and daughters' names may not be listed. To our knowledge, however, this is the most complete account of the Galitsky family tree to date. Again, let us begin with Velvel's children and descendants from his first wife, Sitsi. Son Shmuel died in Russia, married Goldie. They came to the U.S. with 6 children, 4 sons and 2 daughters. Son Moshe Sadik, who died at age 40, had 7 children, 2 sons and 5 daughters. Shmuel was born in 1912 in Kiev, Russia. Married Yurovetskia. He died at age 30. Son Arki Galicki married Regina in Poland, moved to the U.S. in 1969 and had children, Michael and Julie. Rosa had 2 children. Sophia married Mark Zelinciak. They have children, Arki and Renata. Rita had Zetlana. Nadia had no children. Tanya had children, Samuel and Roman. Both Pola and Roma had no children. Pessi married Lieb Kempner. They lived in the U.S. and had 3 sons, Arthur, George, and Samuel. Yitzhak married Irene. They lived in the U.S. and had 2 daughters. Doris married Irving Greenberg. Son Jerry married Rachel. Son Jeffrey married Lois. Daughter Leonore married Norman Senk and had daughters Susan and Linda. Manya married Charles Kaufman and resided in the United States. They had 2 daughters. Daughter Isabel married Tom Collins. Daughter Amelia married Sidney Basson. Shmuel's son Reuben married Leah. They lived in Argentina with 2 sons and 3 daughters. Son Boris married Sifia, and sons Leonard married Roxana. Sergio married Solona. Son Samuel married Elsie. Daughter Onita married Bernardo. They had 2 sons and 1 daughter. Mauricio, George married Ana Maria and Rosita. Daughter Betty married Juan Carlos. Daughter Rosita remained single. Shmuel's son Morris, or Mo, married Shirley, and they had no children. Velvel's daughter, Sura Leah, married Herschel Gittelmacher. They remained in Russia and had 4 children, 2 sons and 2 daughters. At this point, the disaster of war struck our family. It was a bad time for the world, and particularly for Jews. Sura Leah and Herschel's children Itzik, Shmielik, and Manya perished in the Holocaust. It is a lesson in terror all Galitsky's will never forget, and one that all our Jewish brethren and generations to come must never forget. Malka survived, married Mesha Korenberg. They remained in Russia. Daughter Bertha had 2 sons, Roma and Senya. Grisha married Zina and had 2 children, Marina and Yuri. And then the entire family immigrated to the United States. Velvel's son Herschel married Merle. They lived in the U.S. and had 2 children, 1 son and 1 daughter. Simon married Sarah Greenberg and had 3 children, 2 sons and 1 daughter. Bernard had 2 wives, Damaris and Pearl. His children are Penny, Deborah, and Walter, who had a daughter named Sarah. Norman had 2 wives, May and Doris, 2 sons and 1 daughter. Stephen, William, Norma married Jay Godwin and had children, Scott and Kara. Virginia married Kenneth David and had 4 children. Bruce married Peggy. Kay married David Calkins and have children Gordon and Kim Sue. Sherry has no children, and Lance. Daughter Paula married Ben Dodge and had 3 children. Milton married Selma, and they had sons Jonathan and William. Sophie married Irvin Ween, and they had 2 children. Daughter Marcia married Alan Weber, and they have children Jerry and Brian. Daughter Ellen has 1 child, Sunshine. Daughter Judy has children Kenneth and Patrice. Velvel's next son, Moses, married his first wife, Merle, who died in Russia. He then married Dora in the U.S. He had 4 children, 3 sons and 1 daughter, and 1 additional son from his second wife, Dora. Moses' son, Nathan, married Fanny and had sons Morton, who married Patty and had Mitchell and Denise. Son Paul married Sandra and had children Sandy, who has a daughter, Judy Lynn, Jonathan, and Michael. Son Isidore married Ann Cantor. They have 2 daughters and 1 son. Daughter Marilyn married Alex Graubart. They had 4 children, Beth, Philip, Jonathan, and Amy. Daughter Norma married David Blumenfeld. They have 2 children, Hal and Laura. And then their son David. Daughter Mildred marries Ben Schulman. After his death, she married Raymond Fine. Her son, Jay Merrill, married Heike. They have sons Marvin and Bernie. Son Sam married Bess Magazine and had 3 sons. Son Elliot has 1 daughter, Cara. Son Marshall married Pam. They have 2 children, Dawn and Derek. Son Carl married Gloria. They have a daughter, Britt. Son Wilbert, who was born of Moses' second wife, Dora, married Shirley and had 2 daughters. Debbie married Jeff Winkle and have sons Andrew and Matthew. Susan married Jerry Barash and have sons Jordan and Brandon. From Belleville's second wife, Sarah, there are 6 children. Daughter Pearl married Burl Haratansky. They immigrated to Buenos Aires in 1907 and had 2 sons and 3 daughters. Daughter Luba married Solomon Sussman. They had 2 daughters. Haiti married Julio Vinman and Pearl. Son Jose married Estella. They had 2 daughters. Joanna had a child named Alexandria, and Monica had 1 child named Correa. Daughter Sarah married Pension. Daughter Maria married Arturo Weinstock, and they have children Antia and Eleonora. Son Alexander married Bertha. Daughter Bela married Solomon Bressler. They immigrated to Buenos Aires in 1910 and had a son, Jocko, who married Paulina Gorovich, and had 2 daughters, Baby, who married Enrique Feld, and Elsa, who married Nautilio Lopatin. Son Boris, who was born on ship en route to Buenos Aires, married Felicia Lycian. They had 3 children, Jorge, Enrique, and Adriana. Barrow married Mincy and immigrated to Buenos Aires in 1924. They had 1 son and 1 daughter. Daughter Bertha married Jocko Cohen. They had 3 children,